Today on the Topping Show, Starbucks union proclaims support for Hamas attacking Israel. Vivek critique on Lindsey Graham's pro-war interview goes viral. U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says the U.S. can afford to give money to both Israel as well as Ukraine. Captain Marvel is yet another signature Disney box office flop. A 1981 DeLorean with 3 pedals is found with only 977 miles on the odometer. Ford, LinkedIn, and Rolls-Royce Holdings all announced layoffs, and Rite Aid files for bankruptcy after a myriad of lawsuits. All that much more on The Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder released twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, you could reach the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. And for the entire month of October, giving away a free 37mm flare launcher with every 37K or more purchase. Go to toppingtechnologies.com to learn a little bit more. Also trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of October, so if you can click that button, I'd greatly appreciate it. Now going over to the business part of the podcast, you have Ford laying off 700 workers at the F150 Lightning plant. Good God, how will drivers be able to strand themselves on the sides of the roads when it inevitably has the battery die? Now, interestingly enough, Ford specifically said these layoffs are not correlated to the ongoing strike against them via the United Auto Workers, also known as the UAW. It's their big contract that comes up every 4 years, where this year they wanted a mere, just a mere $80 to $100 billion over the course of 4 years, which subsequently would have bankrupted Ford, well, as well as Chrysler again, and GM again, given how much profits they are currently making. Now, this is actually due to a few issues. The Ford F-150 Lightning being their EV truck, which again, I don't know if they just reached the full demand already for how many people who want an electric truck, because again, the purpose of a truck, and I know not everyone buys a truck to tow, and I'm not saying you don't have to, or that you necessarily need to tow in order to, I am kind of saying that. To properly utilize a truck, it is intended to haul things and tow things. And with the current battery technology we have now, that basically makes it useless, because you really can't tow much with an EV truck because it depletes the battery so much. The only good use case I can think of in terms of EV semi-trucks, which Tesla is coming out with, is things where the products weigh nothing, which there is a use case for that. PepsiCo Frito-Lay. They own 68% of the salty snack aisle. A majority of the things you're transporting, when it's like chips and Fritos and Doritos and all the tows, although hopefully not a human tow, because that would be a lawsuit, although probably happened by now. But nevertheless, those bags of chips and things, bags of salt, is mostly air. So because of the weight being so little, that would make sense from a mass transportation logistics in terms of having an EV semi-truck. So there's a use case for it. Now, when it comes to a truck that you and I might purchase in terms of a not semi-truck commercial vehicle, well, if you want to tow your camper, you can't really do that. So in terms of the EV pickup truck market, I kind of think Rivian has gotten a big portion of the people who wanted that niche product. They want a truck that can't really truck, so to say. And F-150 Lightning, they had a couple issues already in terms of quality control. Now, thankfully, no one died from it, at least physically. I mean, emotionally, when you purchase one of those vehicles, you subsequently die a little inside, I would suspect. But when it comes to the Ford F-150 Lightning, they did have the batteries, just a little bit of issue. They burst into flames at the proving grounds. Now, in terms of the most opportune place for that to happen, that's where you want it to happen. Proving grounds is aka the testing facilities where they're trying to see what's wrong with the vehicles before they actually mass produce it. And that turned out to be an issue with the battery manufacturer. So they subsequently fixed that, but they had to shut down the assembly line for, I believe it was about 6 weeks. So they just could not produce that truck for the 18 or 19 people who still wanted it. Now, they also upgraded that same plant. So they shut down the plant once because you had to figure out why these things are exploding. And then twice, they actually shut it down so they could revamp and basically reorganize and refurbish and refresh the plant so they can produce more of this specific vehicle. Now, it looks like in terms of the sales for it, to put kind of a fiscal evidence behind this, they say that the sales of the F-150 Lightning fell 45% in the third fiscal quarter compared to a quarter earlier. So again, there's a lot of these things where you have the early adopters, who are the people who are inebriated, let's say, perhaps they're drinking Bud Light, but they will pay over 100 grand sticker price for an F-150 Lightning. Someone did. It blows my mind that someone has such vast wealth, or you're just foolish with money and they just take out a huge loan for 200 grand against a vehicle that's going to depreciate to nothing very quickly. But you have the early adopters for a lot of technologies, like the Apple iPhone 29, 58, whatever they're on now. There are people who will buy it before it's really vetted out, before there's a lot of consumer reviews on the product. So there's always going to be your early adapters for pretty much every technology. It seems like everyone who's an early adapter for the Ford F-150 Lightning already has it. And again, in terms of, are you buying a car right now? Like, now is not a great time to make vehicles for sales. In terms of just the economy at 40-year hyperinflation. Again, I'm not a doctor, but if you click the subscribe button, it may fix my stuttering issue. It perhaps is more legitimate than the Mayo Clinic, some might say. Debatable. But in terms of purchasing a vehicle right now, you have record high interest rates, thanks to the U.S. government printing more money than it ever printed before. And you have a lot of uncertainty with businesses. They don't know if they're going to be taxed to death. They don't even know if they're going to be out-regulated into existence or just ruled, deemed illegal by the U.S. government. So depending on what industry you're in, you might not even exist tomorrow. So there's so much uncertainty, a lot of businesses are starting to pull back on their spending. And which just kind of leads to, would you go out and buy a vehicle? Granted, my family is a lot more frugal than most. My parents still drive a 2001 Honda Accord they purchased new, which also shows you the feat of Japanese engineering and non-unionized labor. It still works. 2001 Honda Accord still works like a champ with an internal combustion engine. It was a little disappointing they got the inline 4 as opposed to V6 at the time, but nevertheless, it still works. My Honda Civic, I'm going to drive that thing till the wheels fall off, and subsequently actually they won't fall off because it's a Honda. But I look for a great ROI, and in terms of longevity of a product, that'll last for quite some time. I'm not going to trade it in anytime soon, or ever for that matter. So you have this F-150 Lightning. The sales are just crumbling precipitously to nothing. The Cybertruck will eventually be produced, allegedly. And you'll have the Tesla fanboys who want that, of course, because Tesla has built a very huge cultural cult following. But in terms of the truck market, again, the first to market is already done. The Rivian already got, I believe that was the first mass-produced EV truck. So with so many people who already purchased it, how many people are really left realistically at this point? And Ford said they expect there to be an increase in sales during the first 3 months of the year, and they expect the capacity to increase. And they claim that the overall demand for EV vehicle lineups remains strong. A 65 increase in the third quarter compared to last year, which it'll be interesting to see. They're making a lot of claims, but at the end of the day, what's the fiscal sales coming down to? When are they really coming in? So it'll be interesting. Let me know, would you ever buy an F-150 Lightning? Are you surprised that sales for the product have just dropped like a rock? Which is moderately ironic or a little funny when you think of the old Ford commercials where they used to say they're built like a rock or built tough or something to that effect. Although they subsequently have many, many recalls. Nevertheless, they are built. That much is a fact. I did fact check that, and Snopes did say yes, they are built. But let me know in the comments, would you ever buy an F-150 Lightning for your fleet or your primary vehicle? And unfortunately, I did do a fact check. They do not come with a gas or diesel generator to put in the bed of the truck, which subsequently you will need to actually charge the vehicle if you ever run out of electricity. I was going to say, of all the promos to have where you get a free knick-knack when you purchase a vehicle or product, how they haven't thought of teaming up with a good old Briggs & Stratton generator, good old Wisconsin company, throw that in the bed of the truck, slap a Ford logo on there, then maybe that would increase your sales. But perhaps I'm just too creative for Ford today. Thank you everyone again for taking the time to tune in. We're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of October, so if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, all the comments are greatly appreciated as well. We try to make the show better and better together. Don't forget to take the time to like the video because it might help with the algorithm. It seems to change on a daily basis of how the magical wizards at YouTube recommend videos or not. But what helps the channel even more out is if you just take the time, and I do appreciate it, take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.